I'm shocked. Okay. So you can open up at page 71. We do functional anatomy of forward bends or forward extensions and sciatica and piriformis syndrome. So maybe you're happy there because you're leaning? Because I feel that you're far. Can I move?
You can move. You can move.
But it's going there, Yuda.
Still see you. It's going to be the best video you ever recorded.
Okay. Okay. So, do you remember what we learned so far, by the way?
More or less, yeah. About
Okay.
the spine.
Okay. So we continue. So we talk now again about the continuous spinal arch again. This time it's a really continuous, and you can see, you can look at the two photos, right? And you can see that you can spot which is the continuous and which is not, right?
Yes.
So they're not, never mind. So what do you see with the boy? The girl, she has a continuous spinal arch. The boy under, what do you see?
As a girl.
Yeah, I removed her boobs. I gave her privacy.
The B is like more, I think it's kyphosis here, or it's like round upper back.
Maybe. It's all a maybe. I'm not saying like, because I don't know. But what if is young, okay? But if he was an old man, I would have said that there is stiffness in the lower back. Or because
it's flat.
Yeah, because it goes like almost flat. Some people you can see, actually a lot of people you can see that they keep the neutral spine in a forward bend. They keep the neutral spine all the way to the thoracic spine. This means that there is no movement there. Okay? So if you want to see it, you cannot have a full forward bend. You need to have half of a forward bend. You can see they are not using their hamstrings. You understand what I mean? Yes. You will understand in a moment. Okay? So we know that a structure, and it's written up there, we know that a stronger structure is the structure that has good continuity, right? If we have breaking points, the structure is less strong. Why do we care if the structure is strong or not strong? Because it's our body, it's our spine, it's our, right? If we have breaking points, this can mean pain, dysfunction. Okay. And then I remind you here that remember that we said that when we move forward from an upright position into a forward bend, our spine elongates in about 8 to 10 centimeters, which is a lot. If it's functioning, if it's not so functioning and it's stuck, it will not have that beautiful length that we want.
But why it's stuck? Like if you have a flat back, if you have kyphosis, hamstring, because it's tight.
Yes, and yes, and yes. But when I talk just about the spine, then it's because of that there is no movement somewhere in the vertebrae. So some people have a lot of stiffness in the lower back, and the vertebrae start to ossify, to come together. So it's not so nice. And if you don't move enough, this is what happens. And a lot of people don't move enough. Okay, now let's see how it really goes in forward bends that include the legs, in deep forward bends. So in order for there to be a continuous spinal arch in a full forward bend, I'm talking now about yoga or something like this, the first condition is that the pelvis must be able to rotate forward. In order for the pelvis to rotate forward, the hamstring muscles must be sufficiently long. Okay? So if I'm talking about, it doesn't matter, this figure is sitting, but it can be standing, it can be one leg, it doesn't matter. What needs to happen is that the pelvis is rotating forward. Yeah?
And it's only because the hamstring.
It's most likely because of the hamstrings. If you want to be more accurate, you can say the entire chain. But most likely the hamstrings. Usually it's not because of the calf or the calf muscles or the ankle. It's the hamstrings. The hamstrings are a group of 3 posterior back muscles. Yeah, they're starting from the sitting bone and going all the way to the shins, the shin bones. Okay? Both of the bones. So we have 2 bones here. Never mind the names, but they will be attached to these bones. Okay? You can know that they are the shin bones. Soon you will learn their names. Or here you can learn their names, the tibia and the fibula, but you don't need to remember. Okay? So here I describe them, and there you can read it at home later. There's 3 of them, and they all initiate. They all start in the sitting bone, and they all go down, and they go over the knee. Why is it so important? Why do I want to emphasize that they go over the knee?
Because it's protecting the knee.
They're protecting the knee, yeah? But why is it important? Later we will learn next. So why is it important to understand this muscle, that it goes over the knee?
Because you have like a connection with the knee, so it's not just your tights.
Yeah. So if to understand the structure of I want to understand the structure of the muscle, I want to understand how to work with it. Yeah? So it means that if I want to engage it, there are other ways to engage it, but it's very hard. But let's say if I want to engage it, to contract it, if I want to lengthen it, I will use the knee. Is that correct? Does this make to lengthen it and to engage it? Okay? So the knee is a very important part when you work with the hamstrings. Yeah? We will see that once we're lengthening the hamstrings, if the knee is not straight, we will not fully lengthen it. Okay? And also
lengthen it and strengthen it at the same time?
Yes. Yeah. And if I want to contract it, the easiest way will be to bend the knee. Okay? And here I show you the ischium, the sitting bones, and the femur.
They all connect to the ischium.
Yes. And they go down to the shin bones. We have one tibia, it's the big one, and fibula is the small one. Okay, so these are the hamstrings. Now let's see what happens. When the thigh and knee are stabilized, the hamstrings connected to the sitting bones will be activated during anterior pelvic tilt. I will explain in a moment. As such, when the hamstrings are shortened, they will pull the pelvis back. As a result of the pulling, the lumbar lordosis will decrease. Huh? As a result of, okay, I didn't read it right. As a result of that pulling of the pelvis, the lumbar lordosis will decrease, most likely causing back pain and problem in the intervertebral discs. So what did I just say? When the thigh and knee are stabilized, it means when we're standing or this is stabilized, okay? The hamstrings that are connected to the sitting bone will affect this option for a not posterior, interior forward pelvic tilt. Yeah. Now do this. Don't make an effort. Just do this. Yeah. And now do this. What is easier? This. Because the hamstrings now are not pulling the pelvis. Yeah. So what did I do? I bend the knee. Right? Now the hamstrings are not tight, stretched. I pull the knee in. I bend the knee. I contracted or I released the hamstrings, now it's much easier to rotate the pelvis. You all know this. I don't know if you know it like this, but you all know this, that this is harder than this. And the reason is the pelvis. Okay? So,
The
and
hamstring attached to the pelvis.
the hamstrings that are attached to the pelvis, now we know that they are attached to the sitting bones, they will pull. Yeah? They're pulling here, and I cannot do this. Right? For a good forward bend, I want to do this. If they're pulling me, I'm stuck. Yeah? So if I want to have a good forward bend, I want first to have a good rotation of the pelvis. And before that, I need to have long hamstrings. Okay?
Or to bend your knee.
Or to bend my knees. Yeah? So I'm canceling the hamstrings a little bit.
And you never, because you teach us, like, you never, like, force to lengthening, like, when you do, for example, the splits,
Yes.
it's because we have, like, a separate muscle. But if we stay too longer, it's like, you keep your muscle like that, because I understood when, you know, when we stay too much in the same posture.
Then?
Why I want to do this, it's just like how to become more supple, flexible.
How to become more flexible? It's different.
But then
Supple and
keep, like,
flexible.
strengths, because like me, I know I can be flexible, but I am weak in strength.
Okay. So keep it. We will talk about it more. It's a good question. Okay. So then the hamstrings, if they're short, they're pulling the pelvis back. This is clear, right? Okay. Now, a 70-degree angle of the hamstring muscles from the ground, you can see this is like a physiotherapy test. It's called SLR. You can see a 70-degree angle from the ground is the minimum for functional activity. Yeah? So a 70 is not a lot, right? Some people have less, especially people, which we will learn about later, that have sciatica or disc herniation. But some people have less, and this is a big problem, and we will understand why. Okay? In order for us to do Uttanasana, for instance, Uttanasana, a full forward fold, yeah, this is Uttanasana, right? I need to have more than 90. Yeah? Downward dog will be about 90. Do you agree? I say this often in classes. We have the legs up the wall, right? Legs up the wall. I say, or the Ardha Uttanasana we had yesterday. I say that this is like downward dog because it's this 90-degree angle of the body. Yeah. So it's not a lot actually. If I want to do all this deep forward bend and all of that, 90-degree angle for a yoga practitioner that not that practice alignment, but that practice, let's say, Ashtanga Vinyasa or strong practice, it's not enough. You understand? Yeah? Okay. All right.
And when you in Pilates also?
It's a bit different.
Yes. Actually, in Pilates, like the classical, you don't have this, like you fix on the machine, so you have like a strap here. Then it's like you have something that keeps it. Okay.
But you don't have this desire to go forward. You're actually going even back sometimes.
Yeah,
And,
we said like don't grab your feet. We said like try to come forward. Okay, we don't have this.
It's not the same intention. Okay,
But my hamstrings is very short.
they're not very short. 90-degree angle is not very short, and I think you have 90. But we can measure each other in a moment. Okay, so let's see what else is happening, and then we will understand the mechanism and why it's not so safe to do forward
in
bend.
the SLR, they don't bend the knee.
No, the knee must be straight. So this is what we can do to each other to measure the knees. I will show you how. One is lying down, another one is testing. You can also do it to yourself with a strap, but you cannot really see from the side, but you can understand where you're at. Okay, we will do it soon. Then what happens in kyphosis? In kyphotic posture, this is a bit advanced, but you can get that. In kyphotic posture, the hamstrings are shortened daily, momentarily. Why? Because the gravity line, right, or the gravity center is shifted forward. So I'm standing like this. I am kyphotic, okay? I have more weight to the front. Do you agree? I have more weight to the, you can stand like this for a moment and you feel it. Exaggerate the weight to the front. So I always say in the class, bring the weight of the body to the heels. Now bring the weight of the body to the toes, but look forward, don't look to the ground. So you suffer all the way. Okay? Soon, if you're not feeling it yet, take the weight more forward. Soon the hamstrings will start working. You're not kyphotic enough. Yeah? This, but you look forward. Do you feel the hamstrings holding tight?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So
the hamstrings. We are like this.
of course, nobody is like this, yeah? We're exaggerating. But they have more weight on the toes than on the heels, right? Then the hamstrings are becoming postural muscles, meaning that they are holding, they're tight, holding you from falling forward on your face, right? And so they're constantly, momentarily, almost working. They're shortening. Yeah, they're very tight. If you touch the muscles of somebody who's kyphotic, if you touch their hamstrings, usually they will be like rock.
So like all the boxer and like all the sport like that.
I don't know, because maybe they're doing a lot of things to elongate their hamstrings. But a normal person that is just focused on nothing, actually, that is just, what is he focused on? On surviving, then they will have more of this forward.
Like my mother,
A bit, yeah.
So the hamstrings are strong
But
because of this?
they're not strong, they're tight.
They're tight.
They're not strong, they're tight. They're weak and tight.
Weak and tight. Okay.
Okay? So they're constantly contracted, they're constantly engaged for the person not to fall forward. And if they're short, they're pulling the hamstrings, they're pulling the pelvis back. Right? Make sense? So many times we will see also people with kyphosis and a flat lower back.
Okay.
Yeah?
So
It's
goes
pulling.
together
Many
most of
times.
the time?
Many times it goes together because the hamstrings are pulling the pelvis backwards. And then we have flat back. And flat back it can be, we said it, hereditary. It can be because of this is how your family is, or it can be because of kyphosis, for instance. But anyway, in flat back posture, the lumbar spine is relatively small. This posture, blah, 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 I said it. It can be because of weakness of hip flexors that we will learn about in the front of the body. And most cases in a flat back condition will result in severe back pain since the lumbar discs are very sensitive to pressure. Okay? You can turn the page. So what's going on in the lower back? What's going on in the lower back? I said when we learn about the back bends, I said that back bends are very therapeutic for the lower back. Okay? So why back bends are good for the lower back and forward bends are not so good for the lower back?
If you are, how it's called, what we've done in the class.
Say it.
I say swan, but I don't know what
Is it
the
Cobra.
So it's like open between the vertebrae. Create some space there.
You're almost there. Very good. Very good.
And
Okay.
if you're like in bed,
Yeah?
so it's close between the
Almost there.
vertebrae.
Almost there. Okay. So it's the safety mechanism of the lower back. It's also the safety mechanism of the neck. For that, for the sake of argument, but the neck doesn't carry a lot of weight unless you're doing a lot of shoulder stands. Chink chink. For the future. How we said, the gun that is shooting in the מערכה הראשונה.
I stopped to do headstand now. I stopped to do headstand.
Headstand?
Yeah, because I was staying 5 minutes, like almost every day.
Ah, really? But it was good for you? Or?
I like it. I like this inversion, but I know I don't. It was
Yeah.
not my arms, so my legs.
That's it. But then you can do the L-shaped handstand or anything against the wall, but it's less free in the beach or something, but yeah. Okay. So, in a normal lordosis of the lumbar spine, in a natural neutral position, the nucleus is located at the anterior, okay, I'll just explain it. So, remember that we have discs, right? Inside the disc, we have a pit, a nucleus. Yeah?
It's the dot, the black dot.
It's the black dot. This my brother illustrated it because I couldn't find it online. Just on a long time ago. But it looks good enough.
Yes, it's understandable.
Yeah. You can see soon how I do it, and you see how beautiful this is. My brother is an artist, by the way, and a carpenter.
You can see.
So, like this. We have the discs. Inside the discs, we have the nucleus. Okay? When we are standing in a neutral position, and we have the normal neutral lumbar curve. Yeah? Let's say that my belly button is here. Okay? And these are the discs. So when I'm just in neutral, standing in Tadasana, the discs, the nucleus of the disc will be in the front. This is the lower back. It can also be the neck. Okay? Then I'm flattening my back. This whiteboard is dying. I'm flattening my back. Yeah? Like I'm doing something, I don't know what am I doing. A little forward bend. Yeah? Or I'm just tucking my tailbone. Yeah? What happens? The nucleuses, they come to the center. Yeah? I see this. Then I come into a forward bend. Sorry. What will happen to the nucleuses? Back. Okay. You understand this mechanism? Same for here. Yeah? So here the discs are in the front, closer to my throat. Now the discs are in the center. Now the discs are in the back. Okay? What runs here and have all these thingies? The spine. Yeah? So if I'm if I'm doing too much forward bends, or I have a flat back, or I am maybe pushed very strongly by my teacher,
Too much pressure
too much pressure on
on the spine.
the discs, then the discs can go back. They can leak. There are two ways. Okay? Two ways. One way is it's called a bulging disc. It's just coming out a little bit. You can see in the drawing here.
Bellet?
Bellet. Yeah, it's just coming a little bit. Another one is that it comes, it's disc herniation, pritza disc. It's coming all the way out. It's blop, it's out. Okay, what's the problem with that? The problem with that is that it's touching a nerve. It might touch, most likely will touch a nerve. Yeah? And then you have crazy pain. Okay? So let's go back. We will go in a moment for the disc herniation and bulging disc. Let's just go back into this mechanism. So if I have a person with short hamstrings, kyphotic, and or, yeah, short hamstrings, kyphotic, flat back, all of those, they will constantly during their day go down and pick up things from the ground, right? Constantly during the day, they will be in forward bends. Constantly during the day, they will push. I mean, they start here, they will push. Yeah? Then they go into a yoga class. And the teacher is, you know, they're in a forward bend, this forward bend that we hardly do in my classes, Paschimottanasana. They're in this, yeah? They're like this. They're like this. And the teacher is coming and helping them. Thank you very much. Helping them. Yeah? What are we doing? Well, the discs, the nucleuses, the discs, they push it
Out. Like to
back.
the spine.
back towards the
Back to the vertebrae, to the spine.
towards the spinal cord, right? To the back. It's not nice. It's not a nice thing. Then a problem with it, or what might happen, is a disc herniation. Hernia. In front, right? In front. Not good. What's the problem with this disc herniation, other than the enormous pain that you might feel when it happens, is that over time, when we don't have the discs, the vertebra, or when the discs are not alive enough, and you can see the colors also here. It's very nice to see. So you have the normal disc, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has a nice color. Bulging disc, less color. It's less vibrant. It's more black, less water. Yeah? Herniated disc, even thinner, and it's touching. This is the spinal cord. It's touching it, but other than that, because over time it will be okay. The body will get used to it, or the liquid will go, or whatever. But over time, the discs will come closer, yeah, because they don't have this buffer of not the discs. The vertebrae will come closer because they will not have the buffer of the discs, and there's less mobility and so on. Okay, makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
And this is why in my classes you hardly have forward bends. Yeah, and if you have forward bends, what kind of forward bends do you have mostly in my classes?
More active.
Active, so Adho Mukha Svanasana, you have a lot of downward dog. It's a big, there's a lot of, there's a big gap. It's not a very big, a very deep forward extension, forward bend. And if you have forward bends, they will be without, like yesterday, we had a seated forward bend. I didn't even get up. Have you noticed? I didn't even get up to adjust you. I don't touch you in forward bends.
Yeah.
Okay? I let you be. And we had one leg. One leg, it wasn't really, I didn't tell you to go down, I told you to go forward and so on. Yeah? So this is another something to be careful with. You think of something?
Why only one leg? Will it make it like easier, or?
Now I have just one hamstrings, just one leg, right? It's less, we will learn later about a closed and open kinematic chain. Yeah? So I have less of a risk here. We will get to it. But anything on the floor, the kinematic chain is closed.
In your practice, do you do forward bends?
Sometimes.
But you don't stay long
No.
time. You're supposed to-
In the past I used to, because it's very calming for the nervous system. But now I find different ways. And because any forward bend, so you can, Adho Mukha Virasana that we do all the time, this one, is a forward bend without the hamstrings. So you can do this kind of relaxing to the nervous system kind of thing without stretching the hamstrings and rotating the. I'm not saying it's not good, it's good, but it's just.
The way we do it, it's not the right way.
Yeah. And if you're in a class and you have, the majority of the people that come to me don't have very long hamstrings. So I adapt. But even if they had very long hamstrings, we do forward bends all day long. What we need is more twists, more back bends, right? More chest opening. The forward bend we have all the time. Yeah. I'm now sitting, right? I'm sitting in a forward bend. Yeah. Okay. Is this clear enough about the disc herniation also?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And-
if you do the forward bend in
Yeah.
standing
Yeah,
position,
yeah. Kinetic.
safe to bend the knees, safer.
If you bend the knees, you let go a little bit of the hamstrings. But then the pelvis will rotate backwards. I want the pelvis to rotate forwards. You understand?
Yes.
So what can you do? You can take a bigger step between the legs. You can take bricks for the hands. You can
Then
be
to-
active. You can,
And then to straight the knees.
yeah.
Okay.
And when you put the toes inside, it's like helping for the pelvic or not?
When I put the toes inside, does it help the pelvis to rotate?
So I remember when I like 10 years ago sciatic nerve, the teacher told me to put the
Because it opens the back, but where it can,
yes, it's pinching.
yeah. So it's about the pelvis, not so much about the hamstrings. Okay, so what is sciatica and piriformis syndrome? Or sometimes it's called, for the German students, but also in Israel, it's called ischias. Have you ever heard that? Okay. Have you ever experienced that other than Julie? No. Sciatic pain? Pain down the, maybe?
What
Pain
is it?
down the leg?
Maybe in pregnant.
Could be. Okay, no is good. So, the sciatic nerve is the longest, thickest nerve in the human body. Its root nerves start at the lower part of the spinal cord, L4 till S3. So the lower back and the sacrum, a little bit of the lower back and the sacrum, passing underneath the piriformis muscle. What is this piriformis muscle? We'll see in a moment. But you can see in red. Yeah, this is this muscle. Okay. What is sciatica? So we have two things here, sciatica and piriformis syndrome. Sciatica is a range of symptoms. Sciatica is not a real thing per se. It's not like I broke my arm. It's a lot of symptoms together that somebody decided to call them sciatica. I don't know if this makes sense, but it's a range of symptoms, including lower back pain, a shooting pain down the leg, numbness along the leg, and other neurological symptoms. It can be burning, it can be itching, nerves can be funny. Okay, sciatica is usually caused by a direct pressure or irritation for the sciatic nerve. So something like a disc herniation is one of the most common reasons for sciatica or bulging disc. They need to touch the nerve.
Because it's L4, so usually they touch.
Yeah. So usually the disc herniation will be L4, L5. What is L4, L5? Is the lowest part, almost. Sometimes it's also L5, S1. Why? Because both are the lowest part of the lumbar spine, and they're most vulnerable, most vulnerable for this. They're carrying most of the weight. Okay? So we need to have some sort of a direct pressure on the root nerve. Okay, now I'm just differentiating the two, the sciatica and the piriformis syndrome. It can be because of other reasons, but usually it's disc herniation or bulging disc.
Can be very emotional.
It's emotional to feel it. You can have, I will tell you now something to confuse you. You can have a disc herniation and not feel it.
So how do you know
This
you
is a
have
different course. How do I? You don't need to know. If you don't feel it, you don't need to know. But what we all need to know is that too much forward bends are not good. For the way the spine is, it's just not good. And too much, like too deep, is not good. And then we all need to have sufficiently long hamstrings. 90-degree angle is good. We need to have it for functional reasons. And we need to have the space in the spine, and the back bends thing is important. So even if you don't have pain, this applies. It's very good that you don't have pain. And then it doesn't matter if you have it. And
I translate that I have pain in my sacroiliac joint. And he's like, what?
what have become of you? What did you become? Okay. I say this again here, that the intervertebral discs act as shock absorbers, promoting flexibility and mobility to the spine, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can read it again. It's a good reminder. Okay. Then we have piriformis syndrome. First, let's understand what is this piriformis muscle. Maybe you also have heard me in classes talk about it.
It's the deepest muscle of the body.
Exactly. It's the deepest muscle, one of the deepest muscles of the butt. And it starts from the sacrum, from the exterior part of the sacrum, and goes all the way to the greater trochanter, to here. Okay? So here, it starts here and it goes here. This is the greater trochanter. This. Okay?
Sometimes you can feel the pinch there.
Yes. So this is my muscle here, very deep here. The only way, by the way, it's I say it by the way, but it's important to understand. The only way to stretch this muscle is when the leg is in a 90-degree angle. Okay? So it's a small pear-shaped, like pear-shaped muscle located deep in the buttock, behind the gluteus maximus, originated in the anterior surface of the sacrum, inserted at the greater trochanter of the femur. The piriformis laterally rotates the hip, turning the leg and foot outwards, and abducts the hip when the hip is flexed. So when the hip is flexed, it abducts, it takes away the hip. Okay? And this is why we're stretching it in a 90-degree angle. Actually, like this.
Pigeon.
Like pigeon when it's done properly. Many times people want to skip this, they want to go deep, let's say, and they will do in the pigeon something like this. Can you?
So some people cannot make the 90 degrees in the pigeon.
Yes, of course. Yeah, but then you put elevation. So you don't have to target this muscle, but if you want, you need to have it. Sorry, Danielle and Thomas, you should say. Okay. So what I say many times is you don't have to have, you don't have to have a perfect 90, but keep the knee in one line with the hip and then do this.
You can do this, but you don't have like the chin doesn't have to be parallel to the hips.
Normally it's very hard, usually. Okay? So what is this piriformis syndrome? Piriformis syndrome does not answer the clinical definition of sciatica, where it needs to irritate the root nerves. Yeah? It's not going to irritate the root nerves because it's lower than that. But it can feel the same. So it can feel the exact same thing, including shooting pain that goes to the back. So it's very confusing.
How can I differentiate between those? Like if I feel a pain in the side of the butt.
In the side of the butt, you feel it in the piriformis or here?
I think it's here.
I need to see where.
Here.
It's not this. It's lower.
It's lower than the piriformis.
This is higher. The piriformis is lower. The piriformis. The piriformis, so you can stand up for a moment. Find your sacrum. Yeah, and from the side of the sacrum, it will go to the greater trochanter. So it's here. Yeah, and the greater trochanter is here. It's this big bone. For women, it's easier to find. It's low. It's not here. It's here. Do like this. Do like this. More. Push. This is the. You have a bone here.
Yeah.
This is it. Yeah? So it will be here. Sit in Sukhasana and come forward. At least in one of them, you need to feel it. Do you feel it? If not, I'll give you another one to feel it deeper.
Feel the piriformis? Yeah.
Feel?
This?
Do you feel, Yuda? If not, take the knees forward. First of all, take the knees closer. Now do it. If not, then you can do this, the fire log. And good luck with that.
No, I feel it.
You feel it. This, yeah, it's not it. People sometimes I say this and they don't like it. Okay? They're like stuck here because it's giving them some tension. So they will do this. You lost it. You're not with the piriformis anymore. Yeah? Okay? So it needs to be this. And okay, so what happens? Why do we have the piriformis syndrome? So the piriformis syndrome is when the piriformis is pinching this sciatic nerve. Why is it pinching it? It can be because of two main reasons. There are other reasons. Because just of the anatomic location of the sciatic nerve. Okay, where it goes, either the sciatic nerve goes under. This is for most of the people, but for about, it's very hard to say, but for about 70% of the population, the sciatic nerve crosses through the piriformis. So it can be divided into two. It can not be divided. It's all you can see in the drawings. It can be one on the top, one on the bottom, really exactly in it. Yeah, and then every time this muscle is a bit tight, it will impinge, it will grab the nerve, and you will feel pain. Okay?
And it's tight because of
Sitting too much and having the big butt muscles, the gluteus maximus too weak, and then the piriformis muscle is doing a job that it's not supposed to do, or sitting too much, and this is the next one, like overuse, injury, or strain. It can cause the piriformis muscle to tighten, swell, and spasm, irritating or compressing the sciatic nerve. Sports that involve repetitive movement of the legs, like bicycle. Yeah. What else? repetitive movement, same kind of movement of the legs. Running, sitting for long periods of time, or problems in surrounding joints like sacroiliac joints are typical causes of piriformis syndrome. So, for instance, if you have your sacrum stuck, yeah, so it means that one piriformis will be short, one piriformis will be too long. The side that is stuck, the piriformis will be short. The side that is mobile will be too long. Yeah? And this will take you out of balance in the pelvis. And the part that is not moving will be too tight and many times painful. Okay, so what can we do about this and why do we care?
Swimming.
Hmm?
Yes, it's swimming is
Swimming.
nice.
So, first of all, we never diagnose. Yeah? We can't, even if we really want. But we can suspect. So, when a person tells me I have this pain, they didn't go to the doctor to diagnose them, but they say I have this shooting pain down the leg. The first thing I can do, and the first thing actually sometimes if doctors are not just want to cut you or inject you with something, the first thing you can do is you can eliminate the piriformis syndrome. Okay? How do you do that? You stretch it a lot, both sides. So, Adho Mukha Swastikasana, this one, Adho Mukha Sukhasana. Figure 4, this is better because there's no forward bend, right? You lie on your back, you have this. And I learned over the years that if you do the movement, you don't just stay static, you can stay a lot longer and you're less troubled with the stretch.
Are you moving your lower back?
You move. Okay, so you can do this for a while first and see if there's a relief. Sometimes also for people with disc herniation can be, or I don't know if it's an herniation, but with sciatica, let's say, actual sciatica, they can still get a relief from that. So this will be the first thing to do. If it's
more relief for piriformis.
Yeah.
Okay.
If it's a paralyzing pain, they will not come to you. You know, if it's a real disc herniation and it's acute, it's just happened, they will not say, I have some pain. They will be in bed. Yeah? But they will go to the doctor. They will take some strong medication. You know, it's big. And for people with actual acute disc herniation, sometimes I had this a few times on the island that they call me. It's like, I got this. Can you come and treat me? There's nothing to do. Okay, there's nothing to do. You need to wait for the swelling to come down and for the pain to subside. And after that, you have a lot of things to do. What can you do? You can stretch the sciatic nerve gently. Yeah? You can create space here. And you can stretch the piriformis muscle as well. But all of this takes time. And many times the issue is that after, let's say somebody had a disc herniation a few years ago, 20 years ago. 20 years ago, they had disc herniation. Have you ever heard of these people?
Yeah.
And they're still carrying it. It's physically impossible. It happened 20 years ago. 20 years ago, somebody pulled my tooth out. Okay.
But they remember the pain. They remember the suffering.
Yes.
Like I can say about
Yes.
that.
Yes, but it's not good enough. I remember the pain of giving birth. I remember the pain of breaking this tooth and having crazy things after. I remember many pains. The thing is that this is very, very emotional and fear-based. So what happens is that they stay fearful for 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah? And then they are doing harm. So they're creating habitual patterns I'm not going to lengthen this leg too much. I'm going to hold here. I'm going to contract. They don't even know. I'm going to contract here. I'm going to protect. And I have a few students that I know, that I was working with, that they had a disc herniation 10, 15, 20 years ago, and still they have, because this is something that happens.
It's guy just because I hear the heels.
Yeah, the heels. I told you about the heels. So I told you that people with disc herniation have like 70. Okay? So this leg, another leg can go 90 something, and this leg is 70. This means, this is crazy. This means like you're in the acute phase now. And you're not. Yeah? So with this, you need to get over the fear. Yeah? You need to get over the fear and to work actually again with the nervous system. And we started with the nervous system. We didn't go into stress and breath, but basically the breath is what we do. Okay, so you talk about it, that it's impossible that you still have so much restriction. But you need to be very gentle, because you can say if Eitan is still carrying it, how long was Eitan's disc herniation?
Okay, 1 year.
1 year is okay. It's still kind of fresh, but it's time to...
Disc herniation, what is?
Uh,
When you dislocate?
when hernia is, disc herniation is, I think in France you say hernia. It's when the disc is coming out. He's not looking to there.
So when you have sciatica nerve or something like that,
When you have sciatica,
you don't have this, what you say.
disc herniation, it happens because, most likely it happened because of disc herniation or bulging disc.
So you can have also hernia in the sacrum?
No,
No.
but just above the sacrum.
So it's disc hernia and sciatica together?
The disc herniation is causing irritation. I'm happy that you asked me. The disc herniation, the disc is coming out. It's touching it, irritating it. Okay. The disc herniation is irritating the nerve, and this is causing us to have a shooting pain down the leg, which is called sciatica. Okay? It doesn't have to be, it can be disc herniation when it's out. It can be a bulging disc when it's a little bit out. Or it can be something else. But what do I want to say? That's it. I don't know, what was the but? You want to, yeah, you confused me. You want to join? More interesting. Okay. What did he say?
You know everything.
Yeah, he always say that he wish. Okay.
And you, I heard like it's good or bad, but like with the tennis ball or to put something on your butt. What for yoga elements?
Okay. So to use a ball here, it can be very aggressive for people who actually have a piriformis syndrome. It can be very aggressive. So what you need to do anyway is you need to have the 90-degree angle, and then you have the ball. Okay?
But you are sitting or you lie down or both?
Best is to sit. So the best way is, imagine that I have the ball now. So I'm using both my hands, and I'm not fully on the butt. I do something like this. I prefer something big, like a foam roller. Then it doesn't go so deep, but it still goes there. Then for people that don't have it and they want to do it and they feel nice, they don't have this face when they do it, it's okay, it's good. Yeah? Okay, so let's see what we do. Let's first talk about, this time I'm reading the conclusion with you. First of all, let's talk about the forward bends, page 84. In a straight knee forward bend, the hamstrings will take part in the posture, right? Mm-hmm. Straight knee forward bend or forward extension. The hamstring will take part in the posture. If the hamstrings are short, they will pull the pelvis back, right? Creating an ongoing pressure on the lumbar vertebrae. Why? Because they're flattening
Lower spine.
the lower back, exactly. Over the years, bending forward with short hamstrings in an unmodified manner. What can be a modified manner? Bending the knees, blocks, yeah? In an unmodified manner may damage the lower back. Therefore, one of the first things when starting to work with new students will be to notice or measure the length of their hamstrings. Okay? So one of the things, let's say it's a little bit hard with the drop-ins, but let's say that I have a normal group and then I have a new student. Okay? One of the things that I want to see, because I do like I take time to understand their body. And you see, sometimes I ask, oh, you like it like this? Or, right, I did this with you. You prefer to stay like this? You like to, because I'm putting the one and one together to understand what's going on. So one of the things that I will do for new students is, I will see what's the length of the hamstrings. The only way to do it is like an SLR. Imagine that I'm holding a strap, or the student is holding a strap. It's this way. Yeah, they're holding the strap, whatever. Then I say, okay, this. And then I will look at both legs, and I want to see one leg, and then the other one will be 5 degrees, whatever, but about the same. Yeah, we have difference between the legs. It's fine, but not too much. If I see that one leg is very short, very low, one leg is very high, I will ask them also if they had disc herniation in the past. I will ask them about it. I want to know why. Do they have pain now? Okay? So this is one of the things I want to notice their hamstrings. If I have a private client, it's easy. Oops. Working on hamstring elongation is important for all yoga practitioners. But it's crucial if the practitioner have short hamstrings, flat back, or flat back, disc herniation, bulging disc, or kyphosis. Now you understand why with the kyphosis, right? Because the hamstrings are holding. For those students, there should be a given time in every practice. Okay, I'm a bit extreme here. In every practice for hamstring elongation in a correct, safe manner. What is the correct, safe manner of hamstring elongation? The only way to elongate, you can write it because I don't think I wrote it. The only way to elongate the hamstrings properly is by lying down like the SLR. Lying down, raising the leg, holding the strap, and activating the quads. Makes sense, right?
You need to have like a strap?
Yeah. Strap. Because if you have a 90-degree angle, let's say, you can hold the leg. But if you have 70 or 80, it's very hard to hold the leg. You need to use the core. The lower back muscle starts to hurt. Lower back, not muscle. Lower back starts to hurt. You need the strap. Or you can hold it if they're therapeutic students, but it's better to have the strap.
And if you put the strap under your neck, it's and you just put the leg that's
I don't like it because this happens. Okay. You should find modified ways for working beneficially with the spine and forward bends for practitioner with these conditions. Remember that the practitioner with these conditions are going into deep forward bends all day long as part of their lifestyle, of their life function. So let's say that you have a student that needs some modifications. What they can do is they can always first not do a lot, but then do it against the wall. Do it with more bricks. Maybe you notice sometimes people get 4 bricks instead of 2. Some students, not many students like to do it in the group, but some students go to the wall instead of being in the floor. Or you have a teacher like me where you don't have a lot of forward bends, for instance. Don't force, allow, or promote a deep forward bend if the pelvis is not sufficiently rotated forward. Remember that not all forward bends must include a hamstring stretch. Okay? So you can have a forward bend like Adho Mukha Virasana, don't have an hamstring stretch. Yeah? Adho Mukha Virasana is the one that we are like, that we do as a resting pose, this child's pose, extended arms. Yeah? Now my pelvis is fully rotated forward, although it's not supposed to be, but it's rotated forward, and my hamstrings are not in the game. Okay? And then also here, my hamstrings are not in. Yeah? And also the adjustments. There's no need to push down. Do you like it when teachers are pushing you down? No. I used to love it. I used to call the teacher with the face on the legs. Now I can't. Like, but yeah.
And shaking, like you said sometimes in the
There?
shaking our legs
Like this?
when we bring the heel up and down, it's shaking our
Yes.
legs, and but it's helping also the hamstring to be more like relaxed.
Yeah, and it helps the sciatic nerve. All these movements, these kind of are like relaxing for the muscles, for the nerves, for the fascia. Yeah, they're very good.
To lift and lower the heels,
Like
facing dog.
for instance, this. Yeah. This is and this is very good for people with sciatica, because the stretch, the one stretch, is too irritating, but these ones they can do. So, for instance, and this is written now. For instance, the variation of Warrior One. When people have, when the sciatica is a bit aggravated, is active, they will not be able to do variation of Warrior One. This, because this now the sciatic nerve is too irritated, so they can do this. Yeah. So whatever they do, they need to do to the other side. Okay, even if it's not irritated, but they need to do it to the other side, because one of the things with sometimes that happens with physiotherapy, that it takes out of balance. So if you do something to one side, you do it to the other side. Even if it's less times, you still do it. Okay, Sciatica and Piriformis Syndrome. Sciatica is a range of symptoms, not diagnosis, that include lower back pain, shooting pain down the leg, numbness along the leg. We said it. Sciatica is usually caused by direct pressure or irritation of the 5 sciatic root nerves located in the lumbar spine. Piriformis syndrome occur when the piriformis muscle either irritates or compresses the sciatic nerve due to tightness, swelling, or spasm of the muscle. The physical sensation of piriformis syndrome might resemble sciatica. Often it's called false sciatica. Stretching, massaging, relaxing the piriformis muscle can benefit almost everyone, not just people with that. Therefore, it will be wise to stretch and release the piriformis muscle as part of daily or weekly practice. And we see, I don't know if you've noticed, but in many classes, the piriformis is included. When I work with the psoas, it's a very good friend of the psoas. When I work with the hips, it's related to hip movement, the hip joint. When I work with lower back health, we had the piriformis. Yeah? It's related even if I don't have piriformis syndrome or I don't have sciatica. It's very important. And people can have some sort of a discomfort that is not something that is irritating the sciatic nerve, some sort of discomfort in the butt or lower back that is related to the piriformis. Okay, so it's key, this muscle. However, if if the students have SI joint issue, avoid long piriformis stretches. If you know where the sacrum is stuck and which side have movement, stretch each side accordingly and unevenly. So here, if you know this one is tight and this one is too long, too tight, too long, and you know how to fix it, do it. But also after some time, you need to stop it. Some people stay with it, like let's say that they're a physiotherapist or yoga therapist, whatever, they told them to do it, and now they continue with it for 5 years. I've seen this. You create imbalance on the other side. Stretching the short side and la la la. Remember that as yoga teachers, we can't diagnose anything, only help, and at least not cause more damage. For students with sciatica, listen to your students, learn with them about what makes them feel good and where they are uncomfortable or in pain. So I want to say this about sciatica. I said something, I feel it wasn't clear. So let's say that I had a disc herniation 20 years ago, but I still have sciatic pain. Okay? It's possible. I still have sciatica. It's possible. But some people, this is the people that I was talking about before, they don't have pain. They don't have pain. They just have the, it might come back kind of thing. Okay? If they have pain, they still have what we call sciatica. Okay? Still, it can be, it is related to fear probably. It is related to emotional stuff. It still can be dissolved, but we still treat it physically. Okay? So the students with sciatica, sometimes you have sciatica and you didn't have the disc herniation. You just have it constantly. And it's not piriformis syndrome. Okay? I'm giving you all the options. So it's very important to listen to the students. I remember that I was doing the Gil Zolberg thing, and I had a private group, and one of them had an active sciatica, and she had a disc herniation, I don't know, like a year ago or something like this. She broke up with her husband, and she got divorced, and she had this, and it was still going on, the divorce, the pain was constantly there. And I remember that we just learned it, and I remember that he said that the back bends are better, and many times people will not be able to be in forward bends, but you always need to listen to the students because you never know. And this particular student, the only thing that she could feel a relief for her sciatica was in forward bends. She craved forward bends. Okay? What can I do? Just like, I cannot say don't do it. I could say it can be, it might be this, that, but I will not tell her stop, don't do it. Okay? We always need to listen to them because their body is maybe telling them something different than the textbook.
And sometimes when you work now, you can have a relief also, like emotional relief.
Yeah.
I guess you use a lot of
Yeah. Very true. And we know that sometimes the nervous system, many times the nervous system is much stronger than anything. So if she had this relief in the forward bend, it could be, I didn't diagnose it, not diagnose, I didn't dissect it and say, oh, okay, she needs this.
But
But, yeah.
sometimes they think that it's good for them.
Yeah.
Like many people that they have the discs, they're like, but we know that it's not good
Yeah.
for them.
So I can tell them that it's very important to have back bends because, but I also don't want to ruin their experience of relief. So I tell them that small back bends, therapeutic back bends are very important. I said, but how, I don't feel good. And so emotionally maybe you don't feel good, but they're very important to push the discs back in. I don't even say the nucleus, just to push the discs back in. Oh, okay. And then they can do the 1+1. I don't need to tell them, oh, this is very dangerous for you, or I'll say, oh, maybe don't do so many. Maybe introduce some gentle back bends. Okay. And then I say it here in standing asanas like warrior one. It might feel better for them to move the heel up and down. Deep spinal twists are not advised with sciatica. Why do you think? What happens mechanically?
Still touching the nerves, like if you're twisting.
Mechanically, so I have this is the disc. I have a twist. I'm ringing, סוחטת. I'm ringing the disc. I'm making it tight, yeah? So it can touch the nerve again. It can be too much compression. But still, twists are very important. Just not the deep, or at least I will not do the adjustment.
Maybe close.
Like,
Not open, close.
it's called open twists.
Open.
Yeah? So what you're demonstrating is exactly it. This, like you do to pregnant sometimes. This instead of this. Yeah? But still, twists are important, and some will feel very good in twists. Let them twist. Deep spinal twists are not anesthetic. Always practice equally on both sides, even though sciatica is only affecting one leg. You remember why, right? Not to take out of balance. Okay. Good.
And can you just tell me
Yes.
about
Now
this
it's time for questions.
advance issue and
Then?
the piriformis, how you know the difference? If, for example, for me, I don't know if it's a piriformis or is it
You can stop the video now. Now we will practice. We will have fun a little bit.